Ben, how big a moment is this? We're getting naming of the America's Cup Challenger.
Yeah, it's a big day for the team. This is 3 years of work, really, and hundreds of thousands of man hours in terms of design and engineering, manufacture, boat build, and then now to the day getting the boat in the water, and for us as sailors getting out and putting her through her paces. So huge team effort, and I'm really proud of the team for getting us to this point. Still a lot of work to be done between now and when we start racing end of August for the America's Cup itself.
What sort of challenge is it putting together this team? How many staff? How much does it take to build such a boat?
It's a big organisation. We're now just over 200 people. We have a very strong collaboration with Mercedes Formula One team on the design and technical side of the programme. And so we're split between Brackley in Northamptonshire, which of course is a Mercedes Formula One base, and here in Barcelona, which is our sailing operations base. So it's a big team effort. A lot goes into these campaigns. It's really hard to explain to people just how complex these boats are. You know, we've got over 100,000 components that are all individually modelled and manufactured that go into these boats. And so it's a huge technical game. It's really like, in a way, it's like Formula One on steroids when you look at the technical challenge.
And that's how you benefit, I suppose, from being part of INEOS, the fact there is the F1 branch of it as well.
Yeah, look, we're really proud to be part of the INEOS Sports Group, and not just from the corporate perspective, there are some huge benefits in terms of the learnings, shared learnings across all of the sports, whether that be, you know, All Blacks rugby, Mercedes Formula One, you know, Grenadiers cycling, Eliud Kipchoge and his running teams. There's some fantastic opportunities there to learn from the very best in sport, particularly in our world, the technical world. We talked about Mercedes Formula One, but we also have cyclors on these boats. The cyclors are powering all of the aero functions on the boat. There's a huge physical demand on them. So of course, being able to get out there and train with the Grenadiers cycling team, the very best in the world of cycling, that's a huge opportunity for us.
And what's the Jim like to deal with? How hands-on is he?
Jim's great. He's very hands-on. We meet roughly every 6 weeks and we talk through the programme, a lot of the big decisions I'll talk through with him personally, sometimes one-on-one. So he's very engaged. He loves he just loves sport in general, but he loves the challenge of the America's Cup. You know, this is the only international sporting trophy that Britain has never won. And I think a little bit like myself and the rest of the team here, that's really what motivates Jim about this challenge and what's special about it.
I mean, that's the thing about this competition. Put it in the sense of scale of world sport. I mean, you've obviously got a huge array of sailing success, but this is such it's the oldest cup in sport, isn't it?
It really is. It's the oldest international sporting trophy. Ironically enough, started around the Isle of Wight in 1851. Britain has never won it. Like I said, it's the only sporting trophy, international sporting trophy we've never won. And we look at our really proud maritime heritage and sporting heritage in the UK. That's something seriously missing in our trophy cabinet, if you want to liken it to that. So that's really, again, that's the motivation for the team to right that wrong in our sporting history.
Why has it not happened?
Well, it hasn't happened because it's incredibly hard to win. I would say it's one of the toughest things you can do in sport or in any environment, frankly, because it's a technical game. The winners effectively write the rules for the next competition. There's a quirkiness about it in that respect. And when you have a very, very strong team, Defender, previous winner as we call them, Defender, Emirates Team New Zealand, that is a really well organised, funded team, has great sailing team, great designers. You know, that's like taking on, you know, the All Blacks of sailing, and it's like I said, it's an incredibly tough challenge, but one that we're up for.
Yeah. So, how sort of day to day does Jim get involved with finessing the boat and all the plans? How are you sort of exchanging messages the whole time?
Yeah, we're in contact regularly. You know, he's a busy man, of course, got a lot of business interests, a lot of sporting interests now. But we catch up in person once every 6 weeks. We speak much more regularly than that on the phone. He's engaged, he wants to know how things are going, how the team's progressing. All of the big decisions we'll discuss and debate. So very, very active backer of the team, and we're very fortunate to have his support and interest, and the rest of the INEOS Sports Group.
I mean, and having someone who's so engaged across so many sports, you must be amazed how he actually has the time.
Well, he's an impressive man in, like you say, how can he be so heavily involved in such a broad spectrum of not only sporting interests, but of course INEOS as a business is hugely successful. So yeah, about he's driven. I'm sure that's a big part of the secret to the success.
Have you sort of been following then his involvement in Manchester United in recent months? Obviously, that's probably the most high-profile things he's done.
Absolutely, and he's very, very passionate about that. We know that, and we've seen already quite some changes at Man United, and I expect to see a lot more to come. But that's a whole other challenge. World of football. I don't really know much about football. I only know about sailing boats. That's really we'll focus on that. But it'd be great to see Man United get back to the heights of where it has been in years gone by, and one of the leading clubs in Europe. I know that's the intention.
Do you see from everything that he's been doing here how that can benefit, say, Manchester United, and how hands-on he is and how determined he is to change cultures and things like that?
Yeah, I think so. When you look at INEOS and you speak to Jim, their core values are grit, determination, rigour. You need that in business, but boy, you really need that in the sporting world. So if that gets passed along to Man United, I think probably we've already seen a little bit of that coming to the fore, and this is just the start. So expect to see great things out of Man United in years to come. It's not going to happen overnight, but in years to come, I'm sure it'll have a big impact.
Do you ever get your advice sought as an outsider, someone who has that sort of sporting success, that drive for glory, to know what it takes to win? That can be transferable skills.
To a certain extent. I mean, that's the beauty of INEOS Sports, that it is transferable. We discuss, an area where perhaps in America's Cup we've got a certain level of expertise, experience, as all the other sports will inevitably have. But when it comes, like I said, when it comes to the world of football, I've got no idea what I'm talking about. So I certainly won't be getting involved with Man U first 11 team selection. I can guarantee you that.
But when you look at, say, Formula One, even rugby and football, all these different components, do different elements ever sort of say, oh, actually, can they put a word in a different part of the group if they're down here and say, actually, I'm spotting what you're doing here, and this might be useful from what we see in our sport?
Definitely. And like I said, we've seen that. For example, the work we've done with the Grenadiers cycling team, there's been some areas that we've fed back to some of the other teams. So it is a lot of the areas of focus are very transferable across all of the sports. But yeah, like I say, when you get into the fine detail of these sports, and of course the experts, relevant experts, they've got to get on with it and make their decisions and get the team focused and get them to the top.
Yeah, because it's interesting, you spend a lot of time obviously with Mercedes. They're all now targeted towards the new engine rules and things like that for 2 years, however closely you follow it. So they've got to build an incredible sporting beast as you have here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we know that it's been a big challenge in F1 for Mercedes the last 2 or 3 seasons, being dominant for 8 seasons, and then being on the back foot slightly performance-wise. Having lived and breathed it to a certain extent, working heavily in Brackley over the last 3 years, I can see just how determined they are, to get themselves back to the top of Formula One. Big regulation change coming up next year, for the 26th season, and I know they're fully focused on that and getting themselves back up to the top where I think they deserve to be.
And with Lewis leaving as well.
Yeah, Lewis moving on, but he's been a huge part of that success at Mercedes, but great opportunity for new talent to come through.
So what will it take to win the America's Cup? Obviously you've got to ensure you're there in the final competition.
Yeah, well, America's Cup is a technology race that's finished off by a sailing race. So the last 3 years has been about the technology, the development. Now we're getting the boat in the water, and it's really on the sailors in particular to make sure that we do a good job operating the boat, working with the designers, the engineers, to make sure we have the functionality, we can control the boat as we want to control it, and we do a really good job of executing the performance in the boat. If we can do that in the next 3 months and get to the race with the boat close to it or at its optimum, then I think we stand a good chance.
And what does it mean to you? You've achieved so much at the Olympics and previously, obviously, winning the America's Cup. What does it mean to you? Is it about trying to win it under the British flag?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. It's the biggest challenge in my sporting life, or my life in general. Most of my life's been about sports, so it's the biggest challenge I've ever undertaken, and I'm sure it's the same for the rest of the team. As we talked about, winning the America's Cup is one of the toughest things you can do in sport. So that's the motivation. It would mean a huge amount for us if we can achieve that goal, but we're not getting ahead of ourselves.
Excellent. Thanks so much and good luck.
Okay, thanks.